Hello folks, here we are, the Go Home Show to Hell in a Cell, Raw, October 22nd. Have the WWE done a good job for the Go Home Show? I know many people will say the real Go Home Show will be SmackDown, and we have no idea what's going to happen when it comes out. But the majority of what they want to get done is during this show. Let's see what we got. Honestly, this show was surprisingly bad. But there were a few things that were good. First thing, we got the Sin Cara and Rey against Rogue Scholar's match early. I thought, when I saw that, I said, uh-oh, something's wrong here. Now, the match itself was a standard match. I did see the British Fisting Off the Rope show, and essentially what they were saying makes some sense, how basically they couldn't do much about it because, well, Rey has been sick. I figured when he wasn't there for Sin Cara, either was very, very sick or he wanted some time off. What they said now that Rey was very sick, and he really couldn't perform the way he wanted. So most of the match was done with Sin Cara, but Rey was the one who jobbed to Cody Rhodes, which makes some sense. It kind of closes the door on that, which would be alright. It doesn't mean it can't be reopened again if Rey and Sin Cara go after the tag titles later, but it does give a closure for Cody Rhodes in his singles competitive time. What do I mean by that? Simply put, we got two guys here that's going to be pushed into the tag teams. They're pushing it now. Rogue Scholars won this, as I said. So Triple H is trying to give something more to the WWE that has not been done in a very long time. A very strong tag team push. It's obvious that Rogue Scholars is going to go to Hell in a Cell, and they look like they may win this. Now, the next thing we have here, which really made no sense. Kofi versus McGillicuddy. Really? I said before my last, I believe, Raw review, or SmackDown, no, my SmackDown review, this could have had a good build, but this is nothing. Having Michael McGillicuddy job to Kofi, what does he gain? Nothing. Michael McGillicuddy doesn't gain anything. Kofi, this is his 4th title reign as IC champ. Usually when someone goes to the IC more than a couple of times, they're meant to be pushed up the card. Nothing. When this is over, if he loses to The Miz, he's going to stay exactly where he is. If he wins, he stays exactly where he is. Nothing was done for this. There was no build. Totally interesting. Rogue Scholars, at least I can say we know what's going to happen. It didn't have a very great build, at least at the beginning of the show, but you will see later that it had more of a build. Next, we have the Cena promo putting over Ryback. And then you have basically Punk coming out doing what Punk does, trying to get some heel heat. Not much there. Honestly, when it went to the point where John Cena said, my elbow's good, I'm ready for a match, come down here and let me kick your ass, before the main ass kicking, the people did get into it a little bit. The New Jersey crowd did get into this a little bit. But then when it backed off, he got a little bit of heel heat, which was understandable. Wasn't that great, though? This is supposed to build to Hell in a Cell. Doesn't feel like it. This part of the build is very weak. And then when it came to Antonio Cesaro versus Justin Gabriel, you can say this might be something positive because, page is moving. Antonio Cesaro has been shown to be very weak. They have not presented him well. He was not packaged well. He's not been presented as a... Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Antonio Cesaro, the U.S. champion, has become exactly what I said when he won that title from Santino Marella in the pre-show for Night of Champions. Basically irrelevant. If he was not shown and prominently featured, he would end up on Superstars. Now he's ended up on on Wednesday night main event. And they barely prominently featured him now at all. He's meaningless now. So it looks like they're going to take the title off of him and give it to Justin Gabriel. And I said in my what can be done for the future of the WWE, I said Justin Gabriel can be anywhere in the mid-card. He's a good mid-card wrestler. He can be in the mid-card and not get too badly hurt. He can still be featured. He can go for the tag team belts. He can go for the U.S. Championship. And he can go for the Intercontinental Championship. He does have potential to go higher than that. But at this moment, he's best off in basically where he is. And there's a good chance when he gets this title, people are going to cheer very loudly for him. Probably even more than Zack Ryder. I know that's kind of saying, no, come on, Zack Ryder gets more because of his show. True. But getting a show on YouTube to try and promote yourself, compared to how the people really are interested in you in the ring, it's a good possibility because of what's been going on with him, especially to understand that he did a tweet that the WWE did not like, and I'm going to get to that match in a minute. Essentially, Justin Gabriel is the best person to go for this. And when it came to ADR, when it came to Zack Ryder became ADR's bitch. Essentially, he acted as a substitute for Randy Orton and what he's going to do to Randy. Basically put him in the cross arm breaker a couple of times and screamed out, "Do you like this, Randy? Chop out, Randy!" Honestly, even that had very lackluster build. Just like the U.S. Championship has no build for Night of Champions. Nothing. Justin Gabriel had lost. Simply lost already. He gets a second shot at it and then he wins. He shouldn't even got the second shot. When it comes to Zack Ryder and ADR, there was no build for this. ADR has been somewhat built to try and go up against Randy, but he's been getting his ass kicked by Randy. There's barely any build there to make ADR a formidable opponent. I don't expect him to win. Honestly, I'm sorry. I don't expect him to win at Night of Champions. No, why am I saying Night of Champions? You know the reason why I'm botching so much, ladies and gentlemen? This show was so bad, I didn't even want to look at this. Most of the time when I had to review this, I had to switch it off and look at something else to try and get my interest in this, doing this review. The only reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to make sure you know what's going on. I hated the show. It was that bad. The reason I'm botching so much is because I'm not interested. When it comes to ADR and Randy Orton, I don't expect Randy Orton to lose. I expect ADR to stay exactly where he is. There was no build for this properly. It's weak. And I feel like there's nothing there. Let's get over with I'm getting the AJ bit out right now. AJ with Vincent Kennedy and McMahon. And I thought AJ kind of messed around in the limo because her tie was loose. I didn't really think about it at first that that's the style. But I thought, did AJ just have some fun with the previous boss of the WWE? He did. She didn't. Of course not. But we find out later that she's been messing around with someone backstage. So she had no choice but to resign her commission as General Manager of Raw. There's a good and bad to this. And I know people are going to say, good, she's not there anymore. Or bad, that, oh, we're going to have something to do with her now more. True, it's both. AJ was not doing that well as the GM of Raw. People lost interest after the first month with her. Well, actually, I'm being really nice saying that the first month is actually the first couple of weeks. People just got bored with her character because of what was going on between Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. She became very stale. When she became general manager, it kind of brought her back up a little bit. But then after the first couple of weeks, people lost interest. Nothing was there. Really. Now with her being removed as general manager, in a sense, it's a good thing because we can stick someone else there. You'll find out who it is in a minute. But then it's a bad thing because now, what are they going to do with her? They're not going to get rid of her yet. Her storyline is not finished yet. It's not. Even if it seems to be finished, it isn't. There's no finishing of this. They pushed this very hard for the last couple of months. They're not just going to let it drop without something being done. And now I see what it is. When it came to Paul Heyman does what Paulie does. Paul dangerously does what Paul dangerously does, baby. He tries to get over. He tries to get a position of power. And Vincent Kennedy McMahon said no. I'm actually kind of disappointed about that. I know people will say, why would you have Paul Heyman as manager? Look, comparing Paul Heyman to Vicky Guerrero. Vicky's already been general manager of Raw and SmackDown. She's already had the rehash, already had that little bit with Edge. And now it looks like we're going to have that with now Dolph Ziggler. No one said they ain't going to still be together. I'm sure she's going to do whatever she can to put a man over, just like Dolph was a comparison to Edge or to the Big Show. She's already done this. It's boring. We haven't seen Paul Heyman in quite a long time. And I know a lot of people are not too fond of Paul Heyman, saying he's already boring. We've already seen him. Yes, years ago. We haven't seen Paul Heyman in any type of general manager position in quite a long time. It might have given a more refreshing look to the show. Doesn't mean he wouldn't still try and put CM Punk over as his client. That's no different from Vicky, but that's what we got. So Vicky now is the managing supervisor. Seriously? And the rest of the backstage is when it came to AJ and Santino. Him saying basically, I liked you. But then when it came to John Cena, Santino ran away like a little bitch. It would have been better to have Santino there a little longer. But then finding out John Cena is the one that the allegations are revolving around, I want to just smack my head off my shoulders. Ladies and gentlemen, we had this already once before. As I said before with the SmackDown bit with Eve, when I talked about the iPad that Teddy Long had picked up and then used to go and show Caitlyn. They had their opportunity with Eve, Zack Ryder, and John Cena. They let that go. John Cena did not fall. Well, they're saying John Cena didn't fall for the little trick of Eve. The brass in the back didn't think that this had enough merit, so they dropped it. It would have had a possible interest having John Cena and having Zack Ryder go up against each other. Now they're rehashing this, but there's no person that is going to be considered a rival or a friction maker. So now it's supposed to be with AJ now. Even if the allegations are a lie, it's a rehashing of that now. And it's the same thing. It's boring. And then when he went to Vincent Kennedy McMahon saying, what the hell is this? You know they're not true. And he says, basically, I can't do anything about it. These allegations still had to be done. She was given a choice. And then when it came to Vicky, he says, look, I don't know anything. I don't even know what a managing supervisor is. Look, if they want to keep this storyline working, you got to have the biggest brass there, the one with the biggest solid steel balls, which is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Give him better lines to work with. Vince McMahon has been known for being a good talker and working within the storylines that he most of the time will help create. If it's not from his creative team. This was the most weakest I've ever seen Vincent Kennedy McMahon work in a storyline. At the beginning of the show where he disappears after letting Vicky talk, he leaves? Are you serious? Mr. McMahon doesn't just leave the ring and let someone else talk. He stays there and makes them leave first before he has the last say. That's him. And he didn't even get that. And then he gets into his limo after talking to John Cena. Seriously? This was the weakest I've ever seen him in a storyline. I've never seen something this bad before. And the rest of the night was just as bad. Look, we had a Kane and Big Show match. Didn't last long. It was terrible. And the reason I'm not bringing the Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler match up first is because having those two fight made no sense. None. Dolph needed something. He didn't get it here, even with the win. And I know people are saying, look, Dolph won. He won over the one of the tag team champions. Yes. But what does it mean? Unless it's a pay-per-view win. People, you don't get it. For casual fans, if you're seeing this, Mark Marks, well above me. I'm a novice. But when it comes down to it, to really get someone over, it's not on free TV. It's on pay-per-view. You got to have some interest in this person. There isn't any for Dolph. I'm not even going to talk about the match being good or bad. Dolph won it, but he didn't benefit from it. And then the segment after the match, where it's the tag team game or tag game show or something, like the oh my goodness, it's been so many years since I've seen it, and I was a little kid when it originally came out. Like the Newlywed Show, the Newlywed, if anyone's ever seen it, if it's still showing something like it, the Newlywed Show, the Newlywed Game Show. I forgot the guy who used to do it. Essentially, he brings some newlyweds in, they have their little talk, and they win some prizes. This was a rehashing of that. The only thing that barely saved this wasn't the jokes from Daniel Bryan, wasn't the jokes from Kane. It was the Rhodes Scholars who came out and they talked. That was the only thing that saved it. Only thing. That brief little talk. And it saved it only by 5% for me. The 95% was crap. Matt Striker basically leaving the ring to make sure he doesn't get squashed by Kane or Daniel Bryan, still gets squashed afterwards by the Big Show. This is stupid. I've never seen anything like this. And I know I just mixed up the thing between the Big Show and Kane and Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. It sounds better that way. Because the Dolph and Daniel Bryan match was crap. No matter how technically alright it was. Dolph didn't win anything. Daniel Bryan didn't get anything out of it. So I'm leaving it at that. Next, we have the... Man, I'm telling you, this really pissed me off. Ryback versus The Miz. Again. We saw this already. What did Ryback gain from this? A former Intercontinental Champion. You could say on paper, that's good. But the problem is this. That former Intercontinental Champion had almost no build. Has barely been prominently featured. Just lost his championship belt on free TV other than Raw. That most people, if they live in different parts of the country, probably couldn't even get to see. Unless they go to WWE.com and they're showing Wednesday main event. Or, like myself, can get it on digital antenna. Ryback squashes him. Nothing. Nothing for either one of them. There was no strong build for Ryback here. The people are over. Don't get this twisted. Ryback is so much over right now. It's good. But doesn't mean he gained something from the match. Now, when it came to, the thing that was interesting for me, at least to the point, the two things, I'm going to combine them both. When Cena went to AJ, as I said before, that was with Santino. I'm bringing this up only for one reason. If they're going to make this interesting right now, because of this storyline being so crappy, the only option they have right now is to actually show that you have Cena having some interest in AJ. Of course, that's not going to happen. This is going to go down in flames. It's garbage. But see it like this, ladies and gentlemen. If they actually, after Hell in a Cell, somehow have Cena getting something from AJ, help or kindness, and he shows kindness and compassion back, that would give more of a justification for her being fired, and then doing something to Cena that has not been done. I do not believe Cena is going to be wrestling much after Hell in a Cell. Make a storyline around Cena to the point where he doesn't have to wrestle, for him to do something else, something similar to Austin, giving Austin something else to do other than wrestling. Right now, the show needs Cena, but either he's still not capable of wrestling, or they're going to make him do something backstage. If they're going to do something backstage, they need him to show more compassion to AJ, so when they justify it and cause trouble for him, it'll make sense for an actual storyline. So that's the only reason I'm saying this. The second, when it came to Eve and Caitlyn, I'm saying this clearly. There's a possibility we're going to have two scenarios here. One, we'll have a Caitlyn and Eve match for the championship belt at Hell in a Cell, possibly at the pre-show or in the show. Two, we may get a triple threat because you got Layla involved in it. It's a possibility we're going to get a triple threat, which honestly will be something totally new and refreshing. And I know you're going to say, are you crazy with the Divas? Look, the Divas division is dead. Let's be honest. What few women they actually show there either don't wrestle, don't have enough time to be able to wrestle if they can wrestle, and don't get prominently featured. In this respect, maybe for one night, if they do a triple threat, it will give some interest. Barely any interest, but it will give interest. When was the last time you saw a triple threat for any championship for the Divas? We don't. This might be the actual first time there'll be a triple threat. Maybe they may announce it on SmackDown. I doubt they won't. They have to say it beforehand so people will know. If they do it at Hell in a Cell, that's stupid. So I believe they'll do it at SmackDown. Or they'll say it on Wednesday night main event. So they'll try and basically telegraph it early. That would be the best way to get some interest for the Divas. Do I believe that's going to happen? No. I believe it's still going to be Caitlyn versus Eve. And possibly it's going to be Layla doing some type of interference. So Caitlyn will win. I'll leave it at that. The backstage with Dolph trying to put Vicky over, not Eve. Vicky over. It's alright. He basically put her over and then tried to blame John Cena for this problem, which in a sense it was. John Cena wanted to take her out on a date. That was business, no matter if it was innocent or not. With that little body, you can do a lot of stuff with. I'm not trying to talk nasty or anything, ladies and gentlemen, for women or for men. But honestly, if it's going by the storyline, this is what people are thinking. That John Cena, a very big man like this, and you got AJ, a small woman like this, many men and maybe some women are going to think they're going to do something very interesting in bed. So if you're going to continue this and Dolph is doing that, hopefully it'll lead somewhere. Do I believe it will? No. And for Dolph, here's a good question. When Dolph wrestled basically Daniel Bryan, no Vicky, this would be hopefully a good way to break them apart. If Vicky's still his manager, it's going to be a rehashing of Edge and what happened with the Big Show. Both of them. If he breaks away from Vicky, if they just let it go, and Vicky basically said, I don't need to be your client anymore, I'm busy right now. If they do that on the next SmackDown or Raw, that will be good. First step to help Dolph Ziggler, and I said this in The Future of WWE. Break him away from Vicky. Change his character. Make him a face. I know people will say, this is crazy. Why are you going to make him a face? He's not that great. It's not the point anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if he has the ability to go into the main event scene. It doesn't anymore. We are well beyond that. He is so dull right now, the only option he has is to have a face turn. No matter if it succeeds or not, people need to see him in a fresh perspective now. That's the only chance he has to get something from the crowd. I've heard people still cheer for him, Dolph Ziggler. Let's go Dolph, let's go Dolph. But eventually those cheers are going to stop because there's nothing there in his character and the position he is on the card with Vicky. It must change. So the last thing is the super, and I'm calling it super even though it's the largest lumberjack match. I'm calling it a super a super lumberjack match. You see, I really didn't like this. I am botching like crazy. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Standard match, like it was on main event Wednesday, when these two were on there. The only difference right now is that you have Sheamus win, basically bro kicking a couple of people, and basically, I'm sorry. You see how much I hated this show? It wasn't Sheamus who won. It was CM Punk who won. I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This show pissed me off so much I really don't even want to think about this. CM Punk wins because Sheamus gets chokeslammed. The reason I said that Sheamus won probably is because he bro-kicked a couple of people who tried to get into the match from the Lumberjacks. Really, there was nothing there. Even when it came out to Ryback, which is supposed to help him, this was a good build for Ryback. The end of the show, he didn't need to match with The Miz. The end of the show would have been better for him. And with him doing that powerbomb was not bad. Look, CM Punk jobbed 3 times here. 3. Honestly. Does this show have a luster effect? A good luster? A good type of build for Hell in a Cell? No. As much as things were touched on for builds, doesn't mean these builds were good at all. This was the most weakest build I've ever seen for a Raw. Even when it came to the tag teams in the very beginning of it, and they had tried to sell them throughout the night, and they did. That was the only one that had some level of build, and it wasn't even that great either. What do I expect from Hell in a Cell? I'll probably make a prediction, but honestly, this is a D+ show. It is that bad. I don't ever want to see this show again. That's how annoying it was. I hated this show. I'm sorry for the rant, but this is what we got. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment. I've done a 3rd presidential debate review. You can see that. I'm soon going to upload a video who you could choose for, I haven't really worked out the title yet, but who you can choose for the president. Who would be right for you? That is the next video I'm going to put up. Something for you to think about, ladies and gentlemen. No matter if you like what's going on with the politics or not, I'm going to put up a video that's going to basically say something about what choices you have and what rights you have as a person, as a voter, as an American. And I'm not giving my own feelings about who I believe should be president. I'm just going to give you the facts. So you have a good day.